in my mind is not what I know, it's who I know and who I have been in the company of to hear. And then when I hear what's going on by these people behind the scenes, and then I watch the world of mankind around me, and I know they don't know.
Adrian played little Baldur's Gate
They don't know what's going
and
on.
listened to Jordan.
I do, but I got to watch what I say in public because the guys who I talked with, it was a situation where you're being talked to privately in a private conversation, and and if it gets out into the public what you were talking about, they're going to know you've been talking, and
Mm-hmm.
now that's dangerous uh, because here's the way it works. If I, we'll use me as an example. If I'm telling you something that somebody I met in a bar or in a restaurant one time, and I found out who he really was, and the things he's telling me, that he's worked for the CIA, he was a hit man for the mob or something, whatever it was, and I go out and talk with your audience about him, say his name or whatever, it makes for great radio. That's sensational radio. People will
Mm-hmm.
love it to hear all the really legitimate dark stuff that's actually going on.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that makes great radio. Yeah, but you're going to be dead in the next week because
Mm-hmm.
you talked about something you're not supposed to talk about, and you have divulged someone's name and what they were telling you in private, and now they are in trouble for telling you,
How much do
and
you?
their wife.
I don't mean to interject, but how much do you think out of all these years? How much on a scale between 1 and 100%? How much do you think you are holding back just for maybe fear of your life or fear of the repercussions of possibly spilling certain things that that made they that could probably cost your life? How much are
Well,
you
I
holding
would
back?
say probably 50% that I consider to be extremely dangerous, that I would never, ever even act like I said something in public about certain
Stu,
people I know
Sash.
that are very famous, that you would know immediately, are very famous, but I know something about them you don't know
Stu.
because I
Mm-hmm.
was there and I saw them. I was in their company. And so, but yeah, but if I talk, it's going to make a wonderful radio show, and then next week you can come to my funeral.
I think they'll be
So
afraid to do that to you, Jordan. I know you've had threats against you in the past, and
that's a, yeah.
but I think me and others out there, I think they would, if anything was to happen to you, I think they would. Well, a lot of people were saying that they don't want to make you into a martyr, and well, they had this rebellion. I guess you could say people marching in the streets or whatever. But then again, as much as we love you, a lot of people that are fans and followers of you, you guess you can look back and think everybody loved Bill
Yeah,
Cooper,
Nikolai Tesla,
or I'm
yeah,
going like more recent with Bill Cooper, um,
of course,
because
yeah.
you would think that there would have been more of a people loved him too. You think there would have been more of an uprising and rebellion
Quit.
and just questions and answers with the government and I guess the perpetrators behind that.
That's right, that's right. But the bottom line is, no, he's dead and gone. His family is lost without him, and nobody did much. Nobody said much. So life goes on. You know, go to work tomorrow. The Dodgers are playing tomorrow,
Eres una ridícula.
and you got your bills to pay. And so the military in America, the American military establishment, the Joint Chiefs of Staff in Washington D.C., they are all wearing all of
No,
their
see this one.
bling bling,
Hmm.
all their big medals and stuff, and they're being paid big salaries. What are they doing to defend the American Republic.
So we're gonna romance this
Zero
one.
nothing.
Yep, exactly.
Zero nothing.
So
Sit by and watching the
Yes.
great American Republic being raped, destroyed,
Go if you
crucified,
insist.
the American people raped, thrown into prisons, and they do nothing. So,
and the thing
Yes.
is, you would think we would
Good to see a like
unite and band together, but the thing, because you and other researchers have stated it, that we are the majority and they are the few. The thing is, just like on a simple level, Jordan, this is very simple. I'm not talking about with politics and the world stage. I'm talking about with a simple level that I'm about to explain here. Okay, just your normal job. Let's say you work in a factory, and you're not being treated fairly. Everybody, these managers, these owners, they're treating you like shit, and they because I've actually had my bosses tell me I can hire somebody off the street and to do your job.
What?
And they make these threats and these accusations. They make all this to put you in fear of losing your job. But the thing is, if everybody just quit, or everybody just said, no, we're not going to work today, we're not going to do this, they will go in panic mode. But the thing is, everybody's afraid. One more minute, Jordan. Everybody's afraid to unite together because they're afraid of what if I get fired? What if I go without a job? Then I can't watch my Monday Night Football. I can't watch Jordan Maxwell or whatever it is because I can't afford. But this is what they want to do.
I wouldn't have a place to live. Yeah.
They want you to do that. They want you to be in fear to where you can't, I guess, rise up against the machine, for lack of a better term. Jordan, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, originally back in the late 1600s, early 1700s, there were fraternities and fraternal orders rising up in Europe. And we called them the Knights Templars or the Knights of St. Paul, the Knights of St. John, and whatever. These were Masonic orders. They rose up and they gathered individuals who were knowledgeable and knew what was going on, and they didn't like what the church, the Roman Catholic Church, was doing, killing people and murdering them and hunting people down like animals. Most people don't know anything about the history of the church, what it really was. But these people joined together, and then there was an idea expressed by these societies in Europe of one for all and all for one. And so the conceptual idea we see in gangs today, and just in the gangs in the streets. You mess with one guy in the gang, and you got the whole gang to deal with. They're coming to protect him. You want to mess with one biker? Yeah. Well, you better be ready to mess with all 280 because they're coming for you. Well, that tends to make the authorities back up a little bit. Maybe you better treat them a little bit better. And so, and then of course Gandhi, when Gandhi comes along, he was incredibly brilliant. He was a lawyer, but in the British system, but he introduced something. I don't know if he told they introduced it, but he used the idea of non-compliance against the enemy, against the state. He's not. He continues that we're not going to fight the British government. We're not going to fight the governmental system because they're bigger than we are. They got guns and they kill people. They don't give a damn who they kill. So you get in their way, they'll kill you. But we just won't. Act at all. So whatever it is you tell us to do, we're just not doing it. So what you going to do about that? The whole country is not going to do it. Now what are you going to do about it? You going to throw all 14 million of us in prison? Because we're not going to do it. Well, you issued an order. Yeah, well, we're not listening to it. We're not about to honor that law. Why? Because we all are not going to do it.
My weapon has no
So now
effect.
what are you going to do?
I stand amongst the righteous.
So let's see what
For
you're going to
honor
do now.
and
You're
glory.
going to throw 14 million people into jail to scare us? I don't think so. You mess with all 14 million of us and watch what we're going to do to you. There's only 10 of you and there's 14 million of
Sorry, I'm out of
us.
sight.
People
We're
don't
all for
realize how
one.
much power we really have.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
No chance of seeing
If
me
you were a
now.
politician, you're the mayor of a big city, and you're doing something to rip the people off and doing side deals with the mob
Sir, I'm out of
and
sight.
doing all kinds of stuff to
None will see me
aggrandize
now.
yourself and aggrandize your wife and
No
kids, and
chance of seeing me now.
they're driving around in Rolls Royces and fancy cars. But if you see 100,000 working class people come into town in
Sir,
buses
I'm out
and
of sight.
planes and cars,
None will see me
and you
now.
find that there's going to be 100,000 people
No
in
chance of seeing me
downtown
now.
around your office, and they want you out here with us. We want to see you. And when you come out here, son, we're going to be
I
waiting
don't
for
like
you.
cities
I'm
much.
certain
Well,
I'm
you
out of
know,
They're
sight.
built on the
100,000 people
backs
out
of the
there are
unfortunate.
pissed and they're ready to deal with you.
No chance
Well,
of
you
seeing
better
me
back
now.
up and try and do something to calm this down, because this may get out of line, and you and your wife and your silly ass kids and all your friends that have been
I
sucking
demand
the
that
people
restraint.
dry
I'm
and
out of
ripping them
sight.
off.
The day was not this
You're gonna
long,
have to
even when
deal
I
with
led
this hundred
soldiers in the
thousand.
order.
You may take a few out, but there's 100,000
No
of them there,
chance of
and
seeing
they're
me
all
now.
for one. You mess with one, you mess with them all.
I
So
really could use
if you
this.
understand that thinking, that's how the secret societies begin to gain power. But like one of my
Help guides
teachers
my
many
path.
years ago
I have my
said, the
brief
problem
newspaper.
is that once the small have collected power against the powerful, unfortunately, the way the human beings and the way the
No
human
chance of
family
seeing me
operates
now.
is that later on they will begin to gain the power
Sir, I'm out
because
of sight.
they were
None will
brave,
see me now.
they stood up for themselves, and they stood up for what was right, and they got the power away from the powerful. But because you're human,
At your order.
you have
The
become
best
corrupt
leaders
now.
also follow.
Power corrupts, but
No chance of
absolute
seeing me
It
power
now.
shall be
corrupts
done,
absolutely.
and done well.
Now
I'm certain I'm
you
out of
are the
sight.
one
None will see me
that
now.
is keeping the people down. So now it starts all over
Very
again. The
well.
people in the town are now coming to you. And, 50 years ago, you were the one leading the rebellion against the corrupt. Now you're the corrupt because now you've got all the power. So
No
now
chance of seeing me
you are
now.
the fat,
None will see me now.
lazy, sucking in the power and the money. And so it never stops. Like the Bible says, there's nothing new under the sun. And so what people need is they need someone who
Never had
understands
rats.
how
Sorry.
government should operate. And we had that in the founding fathers of the
No
United
chance
States.
of
They
seeing me now.
divided
No
I'm
the
chance
certain
of
I'm out of
seeing
power
me
sight.
now.
between
None
three
will see me now.
legislative group. The one group makes the laws, another group adjudicates the laws, and they will enforce the laws, and one group is the court system. And so we divide the power so that nobody has the absolute power.
I'm certain I'm out
If
of
something
sight.
happens,
No
all
chance of
three
seeing me
major
now.
will look at it. And all three are equal. So all three have to listen to each other and looking at something, a new law or something. Well, today that's gone. Today
It's a
we have
collective.
nothing but today we have
No chance of
I'm
collectivism,
seeing
certain
me
Yep.
I'm out of
now.
which
sight.
means it's
None will see me
actually
now.
in America our governmental system today. Most people do not know because most people do not spend 60 years looking at the way the world works. I mean, I have people complaining about
No
me
chance of
I'm
seeing
certain
me
I'm out of
now.
Since
sight.
1959,
that,
right?
None will see me now.
yeah, since 59, I have been studying the laws, where the laws come from, how governments are set up, and that's almost, it's actually 59 years, 59, 1959. It's almost 60 years ago.
Has it gotten worse,
And
Jordan,
No
since
chance
then?
of seeing
Has,
Sight.
because I'm a
Now you
very
see me
optimistic
now.
person, and you have lived longer than I have to see all the corruption and bullshit taking place. But I'm
yeah,
optimistic person. But what I'm about to say may seem like I'm being negative. But of course, since then, since you're, I guess
no
you're
chance of
I'm
seeing
certain of
journeying
my
to
life.
this
sight.
into
Now you see
researching
me
more
now.
truth about or gathering more knowledge and everything, since 59, have we gone down further into the rabbit hole into tyranny and corruption since then? Because it seems like we're just getting worse.
No
Things aren't
chance
really
of
getting
seeing
Certain of
that
my
much
sight.
better.
Now you
And I
see
hate
me
to
now.
say that because I hate to hear myself sound like a pessimistic
Nalia,
person.
I would ask
But
that you
the
drop this
reality is, it
foolishness
feels
at
like it's
once
getting
and
worse.
return to
Tell me
your
what your
proper
thoughts on
duties.
over
Honor
the
the
years since
commitment you made to
59. Have
me.
we
I made
gotten
my
worse
opinion
as
of
a
you quite
society?
clear, Isaiah.
And when
I
it
will
comes
not change
to
my mind
tyranny
now.
and just everything else under the sun, Jordan.
yeah, we have obviously, uh, we are now at a point where our governmental system, our civilization, the way we have lived for 1,000 years, or since the year 1 AD, so 2019 years, the way we have lived is now crumbling. Our morals, ethics, scruples, our individual personalities, our individuality, everything is crumbling in front of us. Why?
Don't
Because
take
we
it
were
so
in the
hard.
last
I am
days of
just
the
better
empire,
than you.
the
Oh,
American
feel
empire.
free to logically
We
take
have
to the proper
made the
authority.
same mistakes the
That
Romans
would be
did,
me.
the same mistakes the Greeks and the Babylonians, the Egyptians, all of the great empires have come before us, and nobody seems to realize there's a science to the evolution of mankind.
You find
It
more
all
evidence
works the
than I
same
don't.
every time.
Hello
And
there.
so at one time, we were a small little group. Back in 1770s, we were a little small little companies, a little what do you call them? Colonies,
Mm-hmm.
little 13 little
Yeah.
colonies of people, and then only about 2% of the male population in those little 13 colonies. 98%, no, but it was only about 2% of the men in those little colonies decided that they'd had enough of these royalty, of the Queen Mum and Queen this and Prince Charles and all that nonsensical crap where the Queen rides around in a gold chariot flipping her cigarettes on your children, and she lives in a very high up on you.
I'm
You
certain of
pay
my
her
No
every
chance
sight.
of
month, and
seeing
she
me
Now
has
you
now.
see me
multiple
now.
millions. So her pretty little children, and her ignorant husband and crossbreed son, and her mentally disordered family can live as royalty. Who said they were royal? They did. They said they're royal.
No chance
That's
of
like
I'm
Al
seeing me
certain of my
Capone.
now.
Al
sight.
Capone said he
Now
was
you see me
running this
now.
city. Well, eventually, this kind of thinking leads to tyranny, people being thrown into prisons, and law and order breaks down. And now you're going to see apocalyptic problems coming on the nation, on this country. We are now
No
in the
chance of
last and
seeing me
final
now.
The light shall
hours
Now
prevail.
you
of
see
a
me
great
now.
republic that's been raped and destroyed. And the whole entire
Okay.
superstructure of our religions of America and our governmental systems of
Sure thing.
America, our economic and military assistance in America, all of it is corrupt beyond belief. And therefore, we, like the Roman Empire, are in the process of now of slowly but surely falling. The Roman Empire became so
Certain of
powerful
my
that
sight.
Caesar was
Now you see
God.
me
He
now.
called himself the Almighty God, and everybody bowed to Caesar. just like everybody bowed to Obama. Oh, he's our savior. Our savior. Oh, he's and the president did this. Oh, the president's doing that. No, the government's doing this. That's why the Bible says, "My people are dying from a lack of knowledge." Dick Gregory said it best. You talk about America being the land of the free and the home of the brave. You ain't free or brave.
What is it now?
You better wake up and find out you're in a concentration camp. So you're not free or brave. So drink your beer and watch a ball game and shut up.
And
Because you're going to go to prison if you open your mouth.
and for everybody watching this, of
For
course,
honor and glory.
I like sports too. But the thing is, I'm not blinded. I watch football. I watch any kind of sport. But I'm not blinded. I see what's going on here. You know what I mean? I'm having an open, awakened, or a conscious conversation with Jordan Maxwell. I know the bullshit that's actually going on behind the scenes. I know that they want to keep us blinded with television, with sports, with everything else. Alcohol, exactly. And the thing is, they want to keep us blinded because they are afraid of us all becoming awakened, conscious beings, Jordan.
Well, of course. That's the bottom line. Make sure that if you're going to rape a great nation, if you're going to subjugate the Roman Empire into slaves, whoever's doing this, very ambitious, very clever and ambitious. They have a desire to suck and eat blood. They want the power, they want the life of the nation and the people on their knees. And so that's organized crime. That sounds like Al Capone. And so today, our governments around the world are like organized crime, except America is leading the world. We finance organized crime around the world. The real truth about how the world works today and America's participation in the destruction of human civilization is so extraordinary, and so many people have never even heard of such a thing, that you're never going to believe who your real enemy really is in this country. Just know that your industry has gone off to other countries. Your economics is gone. You've lost your freedoms. You've lost your educated background. You've lost your home. You're losing your job. So now I guess the only thing left to do is just lose your mind. And that's why people are killing each other. They're on drugs and mainlining, and the drugs coming in from Central and South America. All of those countries are Catholic. Wake up. Vatican, Roman Empire. And so then we begin to find out from certain people who have actually put themselves on the line and put their lives in danger to do the research and go down into the Medellin cartels in Central America and Mexico, and go down into Central America and South America and look at the ancient secret societies and the murderous thugs that are living with hundreds of millions of dollars they made off of America, who's on drugs. And why are they drugging America? Because they're getting ready to rape America, and they want you on drugs. They want you on alcohol. They want you drinking. They want you mainlining and smoking and all the rest of your crap that you do to destroy your mind and to keep you busy. So they give you basketball and football and 27 other ball games, from football, tennis ball, ping pong ball, bowling ball, pinball.
Who's allowing these drugs to come in,
all
Jordan?
the ball games. Why did they give you ball games? Because these people who are running this country know that's what animals like to do. You throw a ball out for the dogs and they'll play all day with the ball because they like a ball. throw the little ball out for the cats, and the cats will play all day long and entertain themselves playing ball. I don't play ball. I never played ball. I'm on nobody's team, and I know what's going on. This
I
is why
shall
you
go
have a
forth at
liquor
your
store on
command. Point
every
the sword,
corner.
and I, the
Everywhere
best
you go,
leaders,
you got
also
liquor
follow.
stores. Even in grocery stores, you got liquor
It
stores.
shall be done.
Now,
Why?
And
Because they
done
want
well.
you on
Very
alcohol.
well.
now,
They
Jordan,
want
I don't mean to interrupt, but with the alcohol, now I believe we should do whatever we want to do, have the freedom to do
I
without
totally agree.
without implementing
I
my
hear you,
rights,
Amn.
or without me inflicting harm upon your rights, Jordan. You know. But the thing is, with that said, I believe everybody should have the freedom to do what they want to without infringing
I
upon
totally
somebody else's
agree.
right. Okay, now with that said, how come alcohol is legal but marijuana is not legal?
See, now you're thinking too much. Now you're thinking a little too deeply. That's
Which
not.
I think you should be able to do what you want. I just stated that. But the thing is,
Yeah, but that you're
if
just
they're going to
talking
make some,
about regular. But you're
yeah,
just talking about freedom of individual freedom. Yeah.
yes,
Well, the people who ran Europe, that America left
I'll aid you
Europe to
if I
come
can.
here to this country to set up a new arrangement, a new kind of
Yes, be
government. The people
bloody
who ran
ready.
Europe are the same people who are running
I
Europe
stand
today.
amongst the
They
righteous.
are royalty. They have a divine right, they say, to rule. When are you talking about a divine right?
Confound it!
They have a divine right. Well, that implies God has given them the right to be kings and queens and princes, right? Because they have a divine right.
What
Well,
now?
who told these crossbreed imbecilic morons that they have a right from God? The Pope, because he represents God, and he's the Holy Father. He's
At
the
your order.
Godfather. Get it? And so Rome, the home of mafia, La Cosa Nostra, underworld power operations, the Roman Empire, the Vatican, they decide who will be princes and who will be princesses and who will rule and who won't. The Holy Father. And once in a while,
What is it now?
somebody will come up and decide he wants to be a prince or a king, and they have a bad accident. And so if you don't want to have a bad accident, you better get rid of this idea about freedom, human freedom. And the one thing that the powers that be in this world are not interested in is human freedom. They don't want you having human freedom. You are, in their eyes, an animal. Understand and see for the first time why on your identification, your driver's license, your ID, your insurance company, and all the everything
I
else,
shall go for with
all of
all
your
speed,
ID
comrade.
says that you are a male. It says male. If it's a woman, it says female. Well, if you go back to, which most people don't even know about, you go back to the United States government printing office, and they, every year or so, they print a booklet, a large, thick booklet called the Styles booklet. The Styles magazine, or the Styles booklet, published by the United States government printing office. What that booklet is a big, thick magazine booklet kind of thing called the Styles magazine, and in it it tells you the words that government uses and what those words in the eyes of
For
government
honor and
means,
glory.
not what you think it means. Here's what the government says it means. And so when you say, "Well, I'm a man, or I'm a citizen," and you think you understand what that means, now go back and look at the Styles magazine that the federal judges use, that the state judges use, that the law enforcement in America they use. That's what the word means to law, and it doesn't mean you at all. And so when you find out what words you're using that you think you're using, that's why you're going to jail. You're in court right now, and they're going to find you guilty, and you're going to go away for 15 years in state penitentiary. Why? Because you're using words that you don't know what you're talking about. You better hire some lawyer who has studied this stuff
The
and knows
best
the
leaders
Styles
also
magazine.
follow.
And when you're before that judge, let him do the talking, because you're going to go to jail. You shooting your mouth off because you think you understand what the words mean. No, they don't mean that. Over here, it says this in the law. So that's why you have to have a mouthpiece. You have to have somebody
It shall
speak
be
for
done
you
and done well.
in a court. And why do you have to go to court? Because you play basketball in a court. You play tennis on a court. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Come on. So once you understand how
So course a game too.
yeah, right. Once you understand, I've said this before, but it bears witness to say it again. If you have a two-story building
You are more than
and you're
welcome,
going to
my
put
son.
a lot of weight on the second floor, like printing presses or automobiles or whatever, before you do that, the smart thing to do is
Is there a
call a
reason
building
we're here?
inspector and go
Make an
downstairs
appointment to
and get
request
on
an
a ladder
audience. Speak
downstairs
directly with
and
Officer Roden.
remove the ceiling tiles downstairs and look at the floor, the foundation of that floor, and see if it's going to hold that kind of weight before you go building on it. So what you're doing is you're standing under the foundation that you're going to build on. And this is where we get the word understanding, because you're standing under. So if you're going to live in this world, you need to wake up and for the first time in your life, understand that the world has been around thousands of years before you were born. And this country was around hundreds of years before your mother was born.
Isaiah is an officer in
And
good
there's
standing.
already
I will not
a
see a man's
I
name
hear
complete
you well enough.
foundation of government, commerce,
I stand
military
very well.
already
Have you
established
new
when you
evidence
were
you wish to
born.
show me, or have you
So
given up
you're
on
not
this foolish
changing nothing.
enterprise?
I don't care who you think you are, you're not changing nothing. The mob took over this country a long time ago,
It will
and
take
they
some time to
run it
fully
today.
investigate.
You don't
We should
think
know
so?
tomorrow
Go
if
out
the
there and
inquiry is
try and do
warranted.
something that
I
they didn't
suggest you
tell you
return
you
then.
could do, and you don't have a permit for, and you'll go to prison. And if you happen to have a lot of people following you and you're deciding to open their minds and tell people what's going on,
The
they'll
foot of the
kill
castle
you.
is my concern.
They killed John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Bobby Kennedy, and about 100 more of people who tried to tell their fellow man to wake up. The people who are running your government are criminals. Well, they all ended up dead. There ain't
Exactly.
nothing you can do
Exactly,
about it.
Jordan. And whenever we say something, whenever we try to wake up our fellow man, we usually are labeled a conspiracy theorist,
That's
or
right.
you don't know what the hell you're talking about, Jordan, because you're not
This
in
is not
a
over by
high
any means.
official. You're not of importance. You're not in
Well,
DC.
like
You're
like
not a
George
judge.
Carlin,
You have helped
like
me
George
again.
Carlin said, the people who run this world and who run your country, it's a big club, and you ain't in it.
At your order.
So
Exactly.
you better wake up and find out there's a mob. It's called the underworld.
And the thing is,
And
we try to, not just us, everybody that's in this alternative research or just trying to understand this
With all
bullshit
speed,
reality that we
comrade.
live in, this matrix, and trying to bring more awareness about to the people. People, but the thing is, there's not many of us compared to the rest of the world. People like me and you, people that's gonna be watching this, Jordan. And the thing is, whenever we try to spread awareness, the thing is, people, they look at us as just average Joe because we're not important people. So we must not know what we're talking about. That's why they listen to CNN, Fox News, people in black suits,
For honor
Monday Night
and
Football,
glory.
whatever they say, is gospel or whatever it is, because we're just an average Joe barely making a living. So who am I to tell them what's actually going on? Because in their eyes, I don't know nothing because I'm not important.
well, one of the most important news anchorman in Los Angeles on one of the major networks came to my office one time, and I was shocked to see him. This is a very big name in Los Angeles, and here he is coming to my little Mickey Mouse little office, and he was telling me, he said, Jordan, I've been listening to you for years, and everything you say is true, but unfortunately people don't know and they don't care. And he said, but I wanted to tell you some things about television and the media that maybe you would not know. Well, I know he knows because I see him on the network every night. And he said, in order for me to get this job that I have with the network, I had to sign a piece of paper. I had to sign a contract that says that if I say on the air anything that is not on my teleprompter, we got a big teleprompter here, and they write it all down what I'm supposed to say, and I read it. Then they put the teleprompter in front of the camera so that I can look directly at the teleprompter and read it. That's all I'm doing, just reading what they say. But behind that teleprompter glass, that glass that I'm reading it off of is like a two-way mirror. I'm seeing a mirror here with the words, as I'm just reading it, but on the other side is the camera. It's called a teleprompter. And so they're photographing me. They're putting me on television, national white television.
Who are you?
All I'm doing is just reading what they wrote.
You must flee this place at once.
But in order to get
everyone
that
else
job,
who has come into this place.
I had to sign an affidavit
please,
in
run.
law that says if I say anything but what's on that teleprompter, I can be arrested. I have given up my right to be arrested. I have given up my right of free speech. You have to sign the paper in front of the lawyer, in front of the corporate lawyer. You sign it, and now we can hire you. And now when you go on television tonight, if you want to say something that's not on that teleprompter, son, you go into prison. You gave up your right of free speech, so you don't have no rights of free speech. We're paying you a lot of money to look nice, to look very impressive, and to do the talking. And after that, you don't have no opinion. But we own you.
I am a
So
sinner.
he said, and then he said, you know what? If you want to know how corrupt, he said, if you want to know how corrupt the media really is, wait till they do a story on you. Wait till the networks find you and they're coming to you for a story. You've been involved in something, some robbery or something, or whatever it was you did. And the news media, they come to you and they're going to put their microphones in, and you're going to be under the media's attention. Now watch what the media is going to say in the papers tomorrow morning. Watch what the newscasters and the news guys on television are going to say that you said. That are going to say something about what you said and what you did. Only you will know the truth because that's what was on you. So you were the one involved. So you're going to know for sure what you did and what you didn't do and how it worked. Nobody else does. But watch what the media says about you in the press. Watch how they paint the picture and make you look like a fool, make you look like you're a criminal, they make you look like you were mentally deranged, because one time in the cigarette race you threw a tantrum and threw a statue at somebody else when you were in the 6th grade. They're going to bring that out. There he is. He's a mentally deranged. Oh, the little 6-year-old. But that most people don't. All they hear is that, yeah, he was a mentally deranged. That's what the news said.
And the news is important. The news is important. And they're going to everybody else outside of people like me and you and people that's been watching this, they're going to believe what the news is telling them. And I believe that is one. That's just one variable that is the problem in the world today, Jordan, is the mainstream news. Your local news all the way to politics, CNN, Fox News, and all of them. And that's just one faction. What other variable do you think is another problem that we are facing as a society today?
Well, first of all, what we talk about in America,
Shall we
original
continue on?
America came from
Or
Europe,
has this ended our travels?
okay? And even before the Roman Empire dominated Europe, before the Romans came, there was already in Europe
Have you,
what we call a
I'm
European
certain I'm out of
uh,
sight. None will see me
Caucasian,
now.
white man, whatever you want to
Yes,
call it,
see it me now.
system of life in Europe. There were already millions of people in Europe before the Roman Empire, all right? And so we divide, they were called Celtic peoples, Celtic peoples, and so they were divided in between the northern Celtics, the southern
Can't you see it
Celtics,
me
the
now?
eastern
I'm certain I'm out of
Celtics, and the
sight.
western
None will
Celtic
see me
people.
now.
Europe. Europe is north, east, west, and south. So you take NEWS, becomes news. North, east, west, and south becomes news. Okay. And so anything that happens in the north, east, or west, or south becomes news. And so
Chance to
before the
see it
Roman
me
Certain I'm
now.
out of
Empire
sight.
even existed, there
None
was
will see me
already
now.
a governmental system among the peoples of Europe back then, you know, even before the Roman Empire. And those people were called Celts or Celtic peoples, European people, okay?
I'm
But
certain I'm out of
Chance to
sight.
among
see it
the
me now.
European
None will see me
people,
now.
the Celtic people, Celtic or Celtic people, they were the lawyers, the judges, the doctors, the politicians, the teachers, anybody that's doing anything that's important. They were Celtic
I stand
European
amongst
people,
the right. It
okay?
shall be done,
And one of the
and
most
done well.
important
Certain I'm out of sight.
symbols in that ancient
None will see me
culture
now.
of ancient Europe, there was a very important symbol among the Celtic peoples, and that was a magic wand. Like Merlin the magician from England, Merlin with his magic wand, and Mickey Mouse with his
Chance to see
magic
it me
wand, and
now. I
all
am
the
here to
ancient
serve.
prophets and all the
None will
ancient
see me now.
magicians with their magic wand. Magic wands in Europe were always made out of the wood of a holly tree.
Yes?
It was made out of holly wood. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So today in Hollywood is a profoundly well versed Celtic druidic system of bloodshed, sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
And Hollywood is still spreading this fake reality, this false, I guess, this illusion over the rest of the world, and especially the rest of the
And
U.S.
and the rest of the world loves it. We just can't wait to watch the Academy Awards. Why? We can't wait to go to the latest movie to see the rape, plunder, the war, the violence, corruption, the incest, the drug
What
addiction,
is it?
Be
all
quick
of
with
the
it.
filth and
At your order.
degeneracy, rape and plunder,
Just point me in the right
pornography,
direction.
pedophilia. We just can't wait. We just want to go to the latest movie, have a cold beer, drink enough beer, and eat and fill your belly, and then go to a good movie and pay $15 a piece to go to the movie. Well,
What is it now?
Hollywood is what they make
Very
magic
well.
wands out of, and then you begin to find out who really runs Hollywood. And what are they really doing that you don't have the faintest idea in the world about
Mm-hmm.
until you find out who they really are and what they're really doing.
Exactly.
But they're having a time of their life doing
Mm-hmm.
stuff that you have no idea in the world that a human being would do. And they're loving it. So now we're beginning to hear little bits and pieces out of Hollywood about the raping and the sexual harassment and all that, and the pedophilia and all that. But no, it's far worse than that.
And
Far worse than you even begin to
And
know.
speaking of Hollywood, and you're right, Jordan. Speaking of Hollywood, I've stated this on many other shows also. But one of my favorite TV shows. Before I get into this, I believe that Hollywood and you, I'm sure, and many others too, they like to the powers that shouldn't be, or they use Hollywood to spread propaganda. They use Hollywood to to keep us in a state of mind control, to also trickle information that's actually true, you know, in many movies.
That's right. You're telling the things which are true, too.
And within the end credits of Stargate SG-1, one of my favorite sci-fi TV shows, the end credits of Stargate SG-1, I'm reading it right here. Just Google it. Stargate end credits, and it says, "We gratefully acknowledge the cooperation of the Department of Defense, Department of the Air Force, and U.S. Space Command." This is on the end credits of Stargate SG-1. What do you think about that, Jordan?
Yeah, what do you think about that? Yeah.
They're telling us right there, but you know,
they're telling you right there in your face. We have the backing of the federal government, NASA, the whole Nazi SS Gestapo, filthy, degenerate Nazi system of space flight, the V2 space flight, Werner von Braun, the SS, the Gestapo, the whole Nazi empire. We now call it Hollywood. And the United States federal government.
You're not.
We call it NASA.
You're not my beast.
NASA.
Oh, but you are.
Then you go back and look at NASA and begin to find out during 1950s and 40s, well, after the 1945, when the Second World War was over, the United States CIA.
Three-ring circus, isn't it, my
There was a company started after the Second World War. It was called the CIA. Today, the CIA is well known all over the planet. But back then it was called something else during the war. And after the war, they changed the name to the CIA. But the CIA today is a Nazi operation. It's made up of all the old Nazis that were after the war, and then the United States won the war. So they took all of those Nazis, thousands of them, theoreticians, mathematicians, teachers, scientists, astronomers, all the brain work of the Nazi Empire.
Probably their intelligence officers also, German intelligence officers.
Exactly. All their top officers and generals, etc. And they brought them to America and gave them new names and passports and put them on the government payroll so that they got government checks every month to live here. Why? So we can use them because they're brilliant. The Germans were very, very highly intelligent people. You know, they build the cars, all the different German-made cars, the German-made industry, anything made in Germany is brilliantly done. And so America wanted all of that German brilliance brought here, bring them here, let them work for us. So today we have something called the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, is in point of fact a Nazi operation. Why? Because Reinhard Gehlen, one of the top generals in Adolf Hitler's monstrosity of the Nazi Empire, was brought here and bring all of your scientists and all of your military guys here, bring them all here, and we will put them to work in what we call Washington, D.C. And we'll make them senators and congressmen, and we'll put them in Lockheed and Marietta and all these different military contractors. We'll put all the top Nazis in charge of them. And then all those Nazis later on will come together and make it into an organization called NASA. And NASA is nothing more than a Nazi empire of German scientists, German physicists. How many people know that? And besides, before, and who founded the CIA? Well, the men who actually in America, the Americans who put this organization together during the war, changed the name of it and called it the CIA after the war. But those people working for the U.S. government who founded the CIA were themselves members of the Knights of Malta, a Masonic order in America who works directly for the Vatican. Directly for the Vatican. And they work hand in hand in the Vatican with the
No chance of
Jesuits.
seeing me now.
The Jesuits are a military, bloody military
At your
order
order.
that was
Very well.
empowered during the Middle Ages, the 1500s, 1600s. The Jesuits were empowered to
I'm
protect
certain I'm out of
the Pope
sight.
and to
None will
protect
see me now.
Catholicism, the Catholic Church. Why? Because the Catholic Church was murdering, raping, plundering, killing people all over Europe and around the world
The light shall
to make
prevail.
them crawl on their knees to the
No
Pope.
chance of
So
seeing
when
me
the
Out of
now.
Vatican
sight.
moved in, it's like the
None will see
mafia
me
moves
now.
in. They move in, and now it's like a tyranny you cannot believe. And therefore, anybody in Europe that would not bow themselves quickly on their knees and bow before the Pope and kiss his ring, etc., they would cut your head
I'm
off
certain
in
I'm out
front
of
of your
sight.
family.
None will see me
They would
now.
kill your children in front of you. So we say, boy, isn't it strange how the Roman Catholic Church became so powerful in Europe and so powerful today that all the people of the world, no matter where they come from, no matter what their nationality, they all
I'm
go to
certain
the
I'm out of
Pope
sight.
in Rome
None will see me
and they
now.
kiss his ring and they bow down to him. Isn't it strange that the Pope has that kind of power? No, it's not strange. You're talking about
No
mafia.
chance of seeing
You're
me
talking
now.
about the Knights of Malta, the secret societies that will kill you. They'll come for your women and your children at night. You mess with them and they will kill you.
And nobody can mess with
They're
the
very
Vatican.
powerful.
And
And they are doing it for the
No
Vatican.
chance of seeing
And
me
since the
now.
Vatican wants, it's a Roman Empire, Caesar in Rome. He represents the God. He's the Holy Father who represents God. He's the God Father.
and
You
and
better wake up and find out who your enemy really is.
and speaking of the Vatican,
No
they are
chance of
supposed to
seeing
be
me
part of
now.
the neutrality or neutral. Nobody's supposed to or allowed to invade the Vatican, and it makes you wonder. Then if especially during World War II, they were part of the neutrality or whatever. Um, so it makes you wonder.
I'm certain
Maybe
I'm
they
out of
are
sight.
the
None will see me now.
puppeteers behind the scenes here, and that's who everybody else in the world may listen to. So, so
That's why nobody
With
ever
all
bombed the
speed,
Vatican.
comrade.
exactly.
Speed.
Second World War, we were bombing all of Europe. Everybody was being killed. America was bombing all of Europe, but nobody bombed the Vatican. And you don't bomb Switzerland. You don't fly over Switzerland. You don't drive in Switzerland. And right in the middle of during the war, Hitler did a lot of things, but Switzerland wasn't one of them. You stay out of Switzerland. You do not bother it. You don't drop a bomb. God help your butt if you drop a bomb or shoot one bullet inside Switzerland, you are a dead man. Why? Because Switzerland is where the Vatican keeps its money. So the Vatican runs Switzerland, period. You don't think so? Mess with it and see who's going to come after you. You're going to have the mob, La Cosa Nostra, visit you one night when in your restaurant or wherever you happen to be at 2 o'clock in the morning. You're going to have the mob face to face, and they're going to kill you and your family to teach you you don't mess with the Godfather, with the Pope, with Vatican, with the Roman Empire. So I see all of these secret societies I've been talking about and reading about and knowing about for 60 years. They're running the country today. They run all, and the only way you have to know what the symbols that are used. You have to know what the hand signs. When you see these gangs with their hand signs and the different symbols, that means something. And it's colors. You have to know that when you go into a particular area of town and all the young people are wearing blue or they're wearing red or wearing some color, it's because they're showing that they are a member of a particular gang. And in this area of the city, son, if you're not in the gang, you need to get out of here and go someplace else. Because if you come in here wearing a different color, now you're showing your colors. We say that. So if you come in here, you better wear white. Because if you're wearing blue and and our gang wears red, then we're going to know who you are, and you're going to be killed in this city. We will kill you. So you better, if you come in, you better wear a white shirt.
Why is the Vatican so protected, Jordan? Is it because that they
It's
have
to follow the Roman Empire, Caesar, the
and
Caesars of Rome.
and within their libraries, maybe they have maybe lost books of library Alexandria and the hidden history of the human race?
That's right, and all the powerful secrets on how to control the earth, how to control the weather.
Maybe where we actually really came from.
That's right. See, now you're starting to get too smart. You're going to have to go back and drink some beer and watch the ball game because you're starting to think too much. Yeah, that's right, because after all, the Holy Father deals with the Lord in heaven. Is the Lord in heaven? I got news for you. If the Lord's in heaven, he's an extraterrestrial, because that's what it means. Out there is extraterrestrial. Here on earth, if he's born in Alabama, it's terrestrial. But if it's God out there, it's extraterrestrial.
So it's safe to say that God is an ET.
Yeah, you can bet on it, because he's not from Alabama and he's not from Mississippi. So he's, well, where is it? Ask an 8-year-old, they'll tell you, well, God's out there. Oh, really? Do you believe in angels? Yeah. And where are the angels? Oh, they're out there too with God. Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was like 8 or 9 years old, I grew up. My family was Catholic, and we were very good Catholic. We were very sincere Catholic. We didn't know anything about Christianity or God or anything. All we know, we following the Pope. Whatever he says is the. And so in Christianity, I mean, in the Vatican, not Christianity, in the Vatican Catholic system of religion, when you're 8 or 9 years old, you have to be what they call confirmation, meaning all the children will come to church one night, all the boys and girls in town that are Catholic, and they will become confirmed Catholics. It's called confirmation. And so we were told by the nuns in the Catholic school, we were told that tomorrow night when you children go to confirmation service tomorrow night at church, the bishop will be here.
Helm
So you best be on your best behavior, because the bishop is going to be here. And then the nun said, now after the service is over, the bishop might perhaps, maybe not, but he could perhaps ask you that since you are now confirmed a Catholic, at 8 years old, you're confirmed, now that you're confirmed a Catholic, he will try and answer some of your questions that you may have about the Lord or about God. He'll try and answer them. Now, we were told if the bishop says that, remember, you don't have any questions, period. You don't ask any questions, you keep your mouth shut. So I figure, oh, well, that sounds about reasonable. If you're a Christian and a superior says he would answer questions, of course you would want to keep your mouth shut and play stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that night, the following night after the service was over, all the girls sat on one side of the church and all the boys sat on the other side. And we were all very quiet, and the bishop, after the service was over, the bishop said, now that you children are Catholic, and if you have a question, I will try, as your bishop, I'll try and answer them if you have some questions about your faith. And so I stood up, and I said, yes, I have a question. I stood up because I want everybody in this church to see it's me. And so I stood up and I said, yes, I have a question, Bishop. My father works with torches, like a welder, right? And he works with torches. And he let me hold and play with torches a little bit. And so my question is, if there was an angel appeared to me, and if he was right here with me, could I take a torch and burn him? If I got the torch going, could I burn him with the torch? Would it hurt the angel? And he says, well, no. And I said, why not? I mean, anybody else I hit with the torch is going to be hurt. If it was an angel, could I hurt him? He said, no. I said, why not? And he said, well, first of all,
If I
you
wanted to
can't even
listen to
see
you,
an
yep,
angel,
let's see,
much less burn an
I'd
angel.
pull you over
Second,
with D and smack you.
fire is a natural
At least then
thing.
I'd have
The
myself
book
something
says
interesting to
fire
do when
is a
you're
natural
battling.
phenomenon. You got to have paper or plastic or
What is it now?
something, wood,
The best
something to
leaders
burn.
also follow.
But angels are spirits. There's nothing to burn, so therefore you can't burn a spirit. And I said, well, then why am I told I'm going to hell where my spirit will burn forever if you can't burn a spirit? And all the people in the church look like a deer in the headlights. Nobody ever thought about that. There's a 9-year-old thinking and asking that simple question,
I'm there.
and nobody ever thought to ask such a question. Why? Because they're all ignorant, ill-informed, unread, dim-witted, goofy, drinking their beer, watching the ball game, and all they know is they're supposed to be in church, and it's a very holy occasion, and we're right before the God the Father and Godfather and all of that. But nobody ever thought to ask a silly-ass question like a little 9-year-old. Yeah.
I'll do as you wish.
And so after that, I began to see that nobody's thinking at all. And that's the old saying, everybody thinks alike, nobody's thinking at all. So I began having fun with my religion. I would drop Alka-Seltz on the holy water and watch the adults flip out because they thought the holy water was fizzling. That means Jesus is here or something. But it was really an incredible story about the betrayal of the human family.
Don't you
How they know they are lying
You
to
will
you,
come home with me
and
this
they're
very
expecting
instant.
you to be stupid
Yes, dear.
and not ask any questions.
He's
And
mine.
so it didn't take me very long to figure out what's going on. Somebody needs to wake up and find out that we have been had as a country, as a people. Normally, you as a normal man, normal person, man or woman, normally, if you say hello and try and be cordial when you meet someone new, and you say hello and how are you or whatever, and they look at you
I
like
shall
you're
go
an
forth at your
imbecile
command.
and walk away, don't even talk to you.
And later I'll
Well,
speak
normally,
with the
you don't, you're not going to be very
No chance
happy
of
about those
seeing
kind
me
of
now.
people.
No.
Okay, they're looking down their nose at you and say, "Who are you to even talk to me?" So
They're better than us.
yeah, and so normally people don't like that kind of reaction from other people. Who do you think you are treating me and my child with this kind of disrespect when he said hello to you and you just turned and mocked him or walked off? That's the kind of thing people don't like. But we don't mind it if it's a clergy. See, if it's a bishop or the Queen Mom or King Charles or any of those other bloodletting murderers and dopers and misfits in human society,
Exactly.
they are royalty. So don't even talk to me, much less get in my way. I have to look at you. You're garbage under my feet. But we love that. Oh my God, I saw the Queen Mom last night. Oh, the Queen was here, and oh, we were just so impressed with the Queen Mom. The
Crying and in
Queen Mom,
tears and everything else. Oh
yeah,
my God.
yeah. And then you find out who the
With the
Queen
sword,
Mom
I shall
really
strike. It
is
shall be done, and done
and
well.
what she's really doing. And what she's doing, you have no idea what she's doing.
And I think we
But
need
then
to.
you start looking at the Queen Mom has to once a year before her government can operate, the British government can operate, the royal government, she has to go into something called the city. This is something the Queen is required to do. She has to go into that 1 mile square in London. There's a 1 mile square and
Hey,
it's
citizen.
called the city. So if you live in London and if you're working with the banks, all the international banks of the world are within that 1 mile square. All the big international banks of the world. And it's called the city. It's a square.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you work in one of those banks in that 1 mile square, people ask you, well, where do you work in London? You say, oh, I work in the city. People think, oh, well, you mean in the city of London? No, 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 no. In London, there's a place called the City. It's a square mile, and all the people working inside that square mile are not in the UK. They're not on British or English land. They are like in the UN in New York. If you work in the UN, you're not on American territory. That's international territory. And so the same thing in England. If you work for the international banking, you work for the bank in the UK, which is called the City. So once you begin to see how the Queen of England must each year, before the government can operate under the Queen, the royal government can operate under the Queen, it is required. You see it on television, you can watch it. She has to go, the Queen has to get off her lacy useless and put on her nice hat, coat, and ride across in the gold chariot. And she has to go to the city. And she's got to go to where the Lord Mayor of the city, the Lord Mayor of that one square, a 1 mile square, he is the guy who's in charge of the whole place. Is called the Lord Mayor of the banking city. And she has to go before him in public on her knees and ask him permission to open her government so she can have the United Kingdom government operate this year. So she has to ask him for permission. The Queen has to go on her knees and ask this other mentally deranged criminal called the Lord Mayor if she can open up her government. Why? Because the government is nothing more than a corporation. It's a company. It's like General Electric or General Motors, a Ford Motor Company. It's just a corporation, a company. Well, the only way you can have a corporation, if you own Ford Motor Company and you're John Ford, the owner of Ford Motor Company today, you have to have permission from the federal government to operate. So you need to get your attorneys and get your lawyers together, and you need to abide by all the federal laws and all the federal regulations to have that company. And if you don't abide by them, then the official government will tell you you're through. Ford Motor Company does not exist anymore. Why? Because the government said so. Period. So if you're going to run your government, you better pay all your fines and pay your fees and pay everything you need to pay, and you better keep paying and have your lawyers make sure all the papers are signed so that you are in business. So I'm just saying, so once you understand the Queen has to bow down to the banks in London to ask permission to run her government, and remember her government is as corrupt as her family is. It's very difficult to believe that the government is even more corrupt or at least as corrupt as your family, but it's true. So when you understand how royalty works and how America was founded and who finances the revolutions, who finances everything, it's just a terrible story about how the people of America are ill-informed, unread, ignorant. They've been fed, they've been fed their alcohol, their booze, and watching their sports and television is nothing more than entertaining the masses. It's an interesting story about how the U.S. government actually works. That's a whole story in itself. We could talk about another.
Exactly, and that is the perfect way to round this discussion off for this time, Jordan. And we're going to have another part of this discussion in the not too distant future. Just like I talked to you before about 6 to 8 weeks ago, we're having this little part now, and in the not too distant future, and we'll have you back on. We're going to continue your lifelong research into tyranny, into the occult, to all these conspiracies.
Only because you asked nice.
And I thank you very much, Jordan, for coming on to the show. And how would you like to leave off, I guess?
What I'd like to say before we leave is I would like to tell the people if you're interested in waking up and the real truth about the world you live in, I mean, if you can handle it, like Micah Mitchell said in Few Good Men, you can't
I
handle
shall
the
go for
truth.
honor and
But if you can
glory.
handle the truth and you want to know the truth, go on my website. It's called Jordan, Jordan, like the
Point the sword.
Jordan River.
Helm guides my path.
Maxwell, Maxwell, Jordan Maxwell, Jordan Maxwell Show is my website. Just remember to put the word show, SHOW. That's my website. So go on jordanmaxwellshow.com and you will see a little folder, or go on and look at my website, look at the podcast, and listen to all the radio shows and all that stuff. But also you will see a little banner that says Jordan Maxwell Research Society.
At your order.
Click on that little Research Society button and it will take you to my another website I have, which is mega big, which I am putting all of my research over the years, the audios, videos, documents, pictures, research papers, all the links and people, just all kinds of information I've been looking at for all these years. I'm putting all of it on little by little by little. There's only so much my webmaster can do in an 8-hour day. But we're putting on all kinds of off-the-wall, strange information that people have no knowledge of, and I have gained, but I have found it to be very unsafe putting it out into the web for free. It's very unsafe. I need to put it into a private kind of thing. So if you want to hear it, you have to join my research society. Then just go read about it. Just go on the Jordan Maxwell Show, and you will see the Research Society. Click on it and read what my Research Society is all about, and join if you want. And also, the second thing is that on jordanmaxwellshow.com, on the right-hand side, you'll see my 2 new videos. I have 2 brand new videos that are being streamed, so you can just download them right now and watch them. 2 of my most recent videos are now being streamed, and you can watch them immediately. So go to Jordan Maxwell Show. That's where I am, and thank you. Let's do it.
I'm Dungeon Master Brennan Lee Mulligan, here to answer your questions from the internet. This is Dungeons & Dragons Support. Okay, first question. Obama Prism VHS, the most iconic famous D&D monster, you gotta love a mimic. A monster disguised as a treasure chest. Now, I love these monsters because they only make sense in a world where so many people are going into haunted dungeons that entire strains of monsters can evolve just to eat adventurers. Think about how rare the food source an adventurer is on Earth, and think about the fact that there's so many monsters out here being like, if I disguise myself as a treasure chest, at least one person a week is gonna open them and eat them. I would say my favorite D&D monster has to be Owlbear, the mascot of the Eggful Adventuring Academy, and our favorite monster over at Dimension 20. Why would you mix an owl and a bear together? Bears are more dangerous than owls. Just have a regular bear. But no, we made them half owl. Incredible. No notes. This next question comes to us from @SparrowBoy. Is there any secret how do you come up with such great character design and personality-wise? I always feel empty-headed when having to create a D&D character. The things that not only are fun right away, but stay fun and sustainable a long time are creating characters that are wrestling with a heroic problem that I can keep coming back to. Perhaps their wizarding academy was burned down, or their parents were heroes that were betrayed. Perhaps a war is raging across these 5 kingdoms. Pick someone from one of those kingdoms with something to lose. Not only on a physical level, but an emotional one as well. Pick characters who care about the world they're in, and you will find yourself swept away by adventure very quickly indeed. That's my advice to you. This next question comes to us from @ILoveYourMom3. Provocative. Question, what's the greatest magic of all? Answer, friendship, right? The greatest magic of all is not friendship, it's chronomancy, the ability to control and warp time. If friendship were the greatest magic, look, it's a pet peeve of mine. Do you remember? It's friendship. What the is not the greatest. There's a lot of stories out there where the greatest magic of all is love or friendship, and it's like, oh, because you loved so well, it created a magic spell that protected you. That is so cruel to everybody else in that fictional world who died. Do you get it? If your love can magically protect you, then what follows from that is anyone who died didn't love hard enough. It's up. Just think about it for 2 seconds, all right? You can't be doing that. The greatest magic of all is powerful magic, and you should use that magic to help the people you love. They're not the same thing. Greatest magic of all. At Rogelio Var 123. So exactly, what are the stuff that you need to play Dungeons and Dragons? Do you need to buy separate sets of stuff, or do you make it yourself? Rogelio, my friend, first thing you need is friends, and that's hard to come by, I gotta tell you. The hustle needed to get 6 people to clear a Wednesday night is the stuff of legend. The rules of the game are contained in typically 3 books. We refer to them as like the core rule books. Sometimes the Dungeon Master will have those books available for you to come play. Sometimes they'll have them digitally, like on a service like D&D Beyond. Pencil and papers to record your character sheet. This is what a typical character sheet looks like. You can get these online and print them out for yourselves, or you can store your character information on a digital character sheet as well. And some dice that generate random chance throughout the game. You want to attack a dragon? Well, we don't just decide that. Where's the fun in that? We roll dice to see if you strike true or not. So with dice, pencil, and paper, some rule books, and some pals, you can be playing Dungeons & Dragons right away. Now, you may have seen a lot of D&D tables in popular media with cool little figurines and miniatures like my friends right here. These miniatures are, listen, we can all agree, dope as hell, but they are optional. Miniatures and counters and tokens are there to physically represent battle and combat, but that is technically an extra. You can, at your table, play in a style that is known as theater of the mind. I like to use the minis and the counters because there's a lot of abilities in D&D that are hard to keep track of, and having a battlefield set out, I think, is worthwhile, so that if someone casts a fireball, with one quick glance of my eyes, I know exactly how many enemies just blew up. This dragon has been one of my most long-used miniatures. I think I was like 1 or 2 years old when I got this dragon. He used to have a little spout of fire, but I might have chewed that off when I was a kid. Regardless, this dragon's been with me for a long, long time and served faithfully and well. Good boy. Next question. From Drink Your Haterade on Reddit, what is the best representation of D&D in pop culture? With Stranger Things boosting D&D nostalgia, I've been thinking a lot about pop culture representations of D&D. What show or movie do you think has done the best job, and why? I think what Stranger Things did that really helped D&D at a moment when a lot of cultural forces were conspiring to lift it up, and actually showed it as being really fun, inherently social, inherently thrilling, a activity that brings people together in shared storytelling. Baldur's Gate, people got to fall in love with Karnak and Astarion and these amazing characters, and try to smooch, which is a part that they don't write about a lot in the textbooks, but believe me, when you get to play in the game, people want to know if they can smooch. And at my table, as long as all parties involved have talked about it at session 0 and everyone has their thumbs up across the board, if we're going to be out here slaying and smiting, why not add smooching into the mix? What's so wrong with this? I tell you. There was also a D&D movie that came out recently that I think did a very good job. It had the tone and tenor. The worlds of Dungeons & Dragons are these arch, epic fantasy universes, but the experience that most people have playing at the table is that things get goofy. There will be moments of romance, there will be moments of shock and danger and dismay, and so that movie did a good job of showing some of the lightheartedness that exists when you're actually playing through these D&D worlds together. At Buck Ducky. I'm DMing a game for a bit, and I'm trying to learn how to make a female voice for an NPC, but I'm very bad with voices. I think that it's a mistake to try to, pitch up your voice for playing female characters. As a dungeon master, I have to play every different kind of person because I'm playing everybody in the world that my players are going through. Someone told me recently that the characters that I make sound like me, meaning when I voice the character, I just use my regular voice, are women and bad guys. That's something I should unpack with a professional. I don't know why that is, but that's who gets my real voice. I just use my regular voice when I'm playing women. Unless there's a regional accent or they're older, like if I'm playing the Baba Yagas.
Did someone say a little bit of pig?
Ancient folkloric Russian witch.
Well, my
You do the voice for the character. I don't think you need to do like a stereotypical woman voice. At JL Moonlight 92 asks, can you tell me how D&D alignments work? How do I know if someone's lawful good or any one of the others? Alignment is an element of tracking player character ideals from earlier editions of the game. It was identified along 2 axes, your ethical and moral axes, and it produced 9 alignments. Lawful good, paladins, heroic, neutral good, most aligned with the good sphere above. Chaotic good, Robin Hood, those that stand against tyranny and oppression and fight for freedom. You have lawful neutral, which is a sort of automaton, rules for their own sake, neither good nor evil. True neutral, no values at all. Kind of cool, cynics maybe. Chaotic neutral, pure chaos for its own sake. Utter rebellion, anarchy. Lawful evil, the alignment of devils and those who seek conquest, tyranny, and oppression. Neutral evil, pure cruelty and oblivion. Chaotic evil, slaughter, rampage, ruin, sort of violence of the demonic realms. Those 9 alignments, people love them because, I don't know if you know this about human beings, they love personality charts. It's stuck around for a long time, even though it's not the most robust way to categorize moral philosophy, but goddamn people love a chart that tells them what kind of person they are. From Camille Does D&D, the difference between paladins and warlocks is one's got an employer and the other's got a sugar daddy. But like, which one is which? If anyone's got a sugar daddy, it's clerics. You know it, and I know it. When we talk about paladins in D&D, we talk about heroic holy knights that swear an oath to an ideal. When we talk about warlocks, we talk about people that have sworn a pact to an otherworldly entity capable of granting them magic. I believe that technically warlocks have the sugar daddy reputation kind of locked down, but I would argue that clerics are in a very similar relationship. I think the difference between a warlock and a cleric is aesthetic. More than it is anything sort of more tangible. But that's getting into fantasy, cosmology, and theology, which we simply don't have the time for. At Sizzletupkos. Why are wizards so squishy? What, you want hit points in addition to being able to bend reality with your mind? Wizards are so powerful. They're like the most powerful class in the game. If you can survive those low levels, you're going to be dominating battlefields from here till the end game. A D6 is fine. I come from 3.5, where they had D4 hit points, and I think we should go back to that. I think they got it too easy as it is now. D6 hit dice. They should be squishy. Stay on the back line. Let your barbarian have some fun. This next question comes to us from Louis Wren. Among things I don't know, and I'm at this point kind of afraid to ask, don't be afraid. How many sets of dice do D&D players have, and why? Do you have separate sets for different characters or for different quests? Just because they look cool. They look cool! My friend, why not have as many as you can? I have an enormous pouch of dice. This is filled with dice. If I'm going to throw an upcast cone of cold at my adventuring party, I need to have a ton of dice ready for that in the moment, ready to go. As you play the game longer, it actually is worthwhile to invest in more than one set. In your first set of dice, you will get 7 different dice typically. The first and greatest of them all is the D20. We say the letter D for dice and then the number of sides on the die. So this is a D20 because it's a 20-sided die. Then we come down to the D12. I'm not going to lie, it doesn't get a lot of action. It's sort of for barbarian hit dice, great axes, and not too much else in common play. But we love the D12. Fun fact about the D12, it never stops rolling. These next 2 dice I'm going to show together, D10 and another D10, but you'll notice that this one has 2 digits in every place. So you roll these together, and here in the tens digit, you produce a number. So that's an 8, and then in this other digit, you produce a 9. That's an 89. Coming down from the D10, you have the D8. This one sees a lot of play. You're talking long swords and battle axes. There's a lot of cool higher level spells that do D8 damage. That's a real fun one. And then there's one for folks that have been strapped in going, what the hell is this guy talking about? The D6. You know this guy, you love the D6. This is like the normal die. We use the normal die when we're talking about fireball damage, talking about wizard hit dice. I use the D6 for recharging breath weapons, which you always hate to see, but you have to do it. It scares your PCs. It's great, it's fun. You will have these somewhere in your house probably in a normal board game. Maybe you're playing with like a new board game night with friends and someone goes like, pass me the D6. You're like, I caught you. You're a secret TTRPG player. Normal people don't call it a D6, they just call it dice. And then the D4. This one always trips people up because it's got multiple numbers on each side because it lands with its point pointing up and you have to see which numeral is upright. The D4 is the bane of messy housekeepers everywhere, because if you let dice fall on the floor and you're walking at night to get a glass of water, this bad boy's going right in your foot like a Lego. I have stepped on these so many times. And additionally, these are used for the smallest numbers possible, so like attacking with a dagger, like the damage of a small knife is a D4. Your D4 will always be the last dice on the table because they're hard to pick up. And so you're there looking foolish, grasping at your hands with these up-pointed dice, frankly annoying dice. I find the D4 annoying. I can say that. We have a long relationship. You're not going anywhere. Some of these dice are reliable, and their personalities are good, and the D4 is not on that list. Sorry to say. Question here from @memeslich. Should Dungeon Masters stop fudging dice rolls in Dungeons & Dragons? Fudging a die roll is something that a Dungeon Master can do with the aid of this handy little screen. It's called a Dungeon Master screen. You put that up at the table, and all of a sudden, what am I up to back here? This screen enables you to do really fun stuff like this, where you go, okay, the monster's going to attack. Oh no. If you were to see that I rolled a 2 and still hit you, that might prompt you to be like, we need to run away from this battle right now. There's a lot of stuff that is reasonable to stay hidden behind a DM screen. A DM hides their stat blocks behind here. I usually make it a little homebrew index card with all the players' like game stats on it. But there is then a temptation for some DMs to fudge die rolls. Typically, this is done to spare the player characters from a terrible fate. You're attacking your PC, it's the last one standing, and they've got 10 hit points left, and you roll that monster attack roll. Oh, it's a nat 20, they're about to do double damage, this is about to be the end of the campaign. Maybe they didn't roll a nat 20, you could say that they rolled something else. That temptation is there for DMs that suddenly get a soft heart for their PCs. @Ride the Dirt, also just some leftist, hell yeah. What is a golden rule you try to follow for hashtag D&D or other hashtag TTRPG for folks at home? That's tabletop role-playing game. The golden rule I try to follow is you're playing with your fellow players, first and foremost. If you follow every rule and stay completely in line with the module, the books are never going to say thank you. You're playing with other human beings at the table. Stay tapped in to what their experience is. Are they having fun? Are you all telling the story together? That is the measure of a great tabletop game. @PHX Mall asks, what's your favorite character race and class combo for D&D? I tend to come back to Paladin and Wizard. I love Paladin's Oath, striving for honor and justice. We did a photo shoot a while back with a wonderful Andrew Max Levy as a Paladin. Who doesn't love a knight in shining armor? It's a classic hero archetype. And you get to smite. Who doesn't love to smite? Give me those D8s. And I also like wizards because they're very magical, but they weren't born that way. They had to work very hard to get magical, and I identify with that. But for the person asking this question of, is there a certain advantage? Typically, there are certain things that dovetail. Like if you're going to play a barbarian, which is a strength-based class, there are going to be certain ancestries that give you a bonus to strength in some editions of the game. There's also some fun stuff about playing a character that's a little more well-rounded. Every so often it can be cool, even if you're playing a strength-based character, to go, oh, and because of this part of my background, I have a weird little cantrip or a magic spell I can do. Even though it might not be optimal, that weird little power that doesn't exactly fit into your build may be the thing that saves you and your friends from a total party kill. @DelusionalDo1, how do you handle a TPK? Do you full reset or just pick up at the last save spot? Any other things you like to do after a party wipe? Handling a TPK, which for folks at home is a total party kill. It is when every member of an adventuring party dies all at once. I think sometimes the best way to handle a TPK is before it happens. If you're heading towards a battle that is absolutely punishing and stands a chance of really wiping out everybody in the party, say it. Say it above the table and say it in-game. Have a moment where you check in with your players and go, hey, no shame in running. This has a chance of killing everybody in the party. Take your time. You approach the dungeon. Drums beat in the dark. Fires flicker from torchlight. The smell of death is everywhere. Taking the time to add some gravitas can sometimes wake your players up and go,